Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Shrinvatam Swakata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Hridayantasto Hyabhadrani Vidunoti Suhritsatam Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatir Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 24, Text 26 and 27. Satan Prapanartiharo Bhagavan Dharmavatsalah Dharmagyan Shila Sampannan Pritah Pritanuvachaha Satan Prapanartiharo Bhagavan Dharmavatsalah Dharmagyan Shila Sampannan Pritah Pritanuvachaha Satan Prapannartiharo Bhagavan Dharmavatsalah Dharmagyan Shila Sampannan Pritah Pritanuvachaha. Synonyms: Saha, Lord Shiva; Tan, them; Prapanna Arti, Haraha, one who drives away all kinds of dangers; Bhagavan, the Lord; Dharma Vatsalaha, very much fond of religious principles; Dharmagyan, persons who are aware of religious principles; Shila Sampannan, a very well behaved; Pritaha, being pleased; Pritan, of very gentle behavior; Uvacha, talked with him; Ha, in the past. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. Lord Shiva became very pleased with the Prachetas because generally Lord Shiva is the protector of pious persons and persons of gentle behavior. Being very much pleased with the princes, he began to speak as follows. Purport. Supreme Personality of Godhead Vishnu or Krishna is known as Bhaktavatsala, and herein we find Lord Shiva described as Dharmavatsala. Of course, the word Dharmavatsala refers to person who lives according to religious principles. That is understood. Nonetheless, these two words have additional significance. Sometimes Lord Shiva has to deal with persons who are in the modes of passion and ignorance. Such persons are not always very much religious and pious in their activities. But since they worship Lord Shiva for some material profit, they sometimes obey the religious principles. As soon as Lord Shiva sees that his devotees are following religious principles, he blesses them. The Prachetas, sons of Prachina Barhi, were naturally very pious and gentle, and consequently, Lord Shiva was immediately pleased with them. Lord Shiva could understand that the princes were sons of Vaishnavas, and as such, Lord Shiva offered prayers to the Supreme Personality of Godhead as follows. Text 27. Shri Rudra Vacha Yuyam Vedishadah Putra Viditam Vaschikirshatam Anugrahaya Badram Va Evam Me Dharshanam Kritam. Shri Rudra Vacha Yuyam Vedishadah Putra Viditam Vaschikirshatam Anugrahaya Badram Va Evam Me Dharshanam Kritam. Shri Rudra Vacha Yuyam Vedishadah Putra Viditam Vaschikirshatam Anugrahaya Badram Va Evam Me Dharshanam Kritam. Synonyms. Shri Rudra Vacha, Lord Shiva began to speak. Yuyam, all of you, Vedishada, of King Prachina Barhi, Putraha, sons, Viditam, knowing, Vaha, your, Chikirsatam, desires, Anugrahaya, for the matter of showing you mercy, Bhadram, all good fortune unto you, Vaha, all of you, Evam, thus, may, my, Darshanam, audience, Kritam, you have done. Translation purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta from Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. Lord Shiva said, you are all the sons of King Prachina Barhi, and I wish all good fortune for you to you. I also know what you're going to do, and therefore I am visible to you just to show my mercy upon you. Purport. By these words, Lord Shiva indicates that what the princes were going to do was known to him. It is a fact that they were going to worship Lord Vishnu by severe austerities and penances. Knowing this fact, Lord Shiva immediately became very pleased, as apparent by the next verse. This indicates that a person who is not yet a devotee of Supreme Personality of Godhead, but who desires to serve the Supreme Lord, receives the benedictions of the demigods headed by Chief Demigod Lord Shiva. Thus, a devotee of the Lord does not need to try to please the demigods separately. Simply by worshipping the Supreme Lord, a devotee can please all of them, nor does he have to ask the demigods for material benedictions. For the demigods, being pleased with the devotee, automatically offer him everything he needs. The demigods are servants of the Lord, and they are always prepared to help a devotee in all circumstances. Therefore, Srila Vilvamangal Thakura said that if one has unalloyed devotion for Supreme Lord, the goddess of liberation is ready to serve him, to say nothing of gods of material opulences. Indeed, all the demigods are simply waiting for an opportunity to serve the devotee. Thus, there is no need for a devotee of Krishna to endeavor for material opulence or liberation. By being situated in a transcendental position of devotional service, he receives all the benefits of dharma, artha, kama, and moksha. नमो ओम विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनिति नामने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. I humbly bow down to all the assembled Vaishnavas. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to purify myself. So, here we are discussing two verses from the 24th chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4. And so the context for this is the Prachetas, who are the sons of Prachina Barhi. They are so the word Prachetas is very interesting. The word Prachetas means in Sanskrit pra is used as a strength adding agent. So it's pra means very or extreme, and then chetas is like consciousness. So prachetas actually means those with elevated consciousness, and these describe the 10 sons of Prachina Barhi, and they were called the Prachetas. So the backstory is the Prachetas have been instructed by their father that they have to go and do penance for 10,000 years before they can go and populate the earth with prajas. So that's their occupational duty. So they have to do that. So before that, they have to perform tapas, and for that, they're moving towards the Western Ocean. They at this point they don't know what has to be done. So when they come to the Western Ocean, they have been awarded this darshan of Lord Shiva, who is becoming their spiritual master. And Lord Shiva is instructing them this glorious Rudra Gita. So the Rudra Gita is a compilation of 40 verses where Lord Shiva describes the glory of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So there is a wonderful section in the middle where Lord Shiva goes in detail explaining the personal form of the Lord. So he says what color the Supreme Personality of Godhead is, how is his Shanka, how is his different ornaments, and every aspect of it, right from the head to the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So it's a very beautiful prayer. And this prayer was sung to the Prachetas, and the Prachetas were asked to meditate on this prayer, and they went under the water so that they won't be disturbed by anything. And then they performed this tapas or austerity for 10,000 years, and then that's the backstory for this particular event. So we saw in the previous two verses how Lord Shiva emerged from the lake, like with all his parshadas. And so here Lord Shiva is actually talking to the Prachetas. And the first verse, which is verse 26, Srila Prabhupada takes up this particular Sanskrit verse, which says Dharma Vatsala. So we know that Krishna is described as Bhakta Vatsala. Vatsala is one who protects. Vatsalya is protection, and Dharma Vatsala is Bhakta Vatsala is one who protects the devotees. So here, Srila Prabhupada says that Lord Shiva is called Dharma Vatsala because he protects the righteous people. And we know that Lord Shiva is also called by a term Ashutosh because he is easily pleased. So here Srila Prabhupada goes and explains why he is called a Dharmavatsala, because even if people who are pious and they follow the dharmic principles, Lord Shiva is easily pleased. And Srila Prabhupada quotes saying that Lord Shiva is the chief demigod, chief among all the demigods. And so as any servant in this disciplic succession would do, Lord Shiva, if somebody comes and surrenders to him, he shows the path upward and shows the path to reach the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Hari. So here the word Dharma Vatsala is introduced to make sure to ensure that the quality of Lord Shiva, where he is very pleasingly disposed to anybody who follows Dharma. And so here also talks about like why he is pleased with the Prachetas, because the Prachetas are naturally gentle and pious, and being the sons of King Prachina Barhi and Satadrupa, so they're Vaishnavas and they're actually inclined towards Vishnu Bhakti. So recognizing this, Lord Shiva at once becomes very joyful and he prepares to bless them. And and he's setting the stage for the beautiful Rudra Gita verses. And in the verse 27, 424, 27, Lord Shiva, there are multiple subtle points in this particular in this verse. So Lord Shiva is acting as the spiritual master for the Prachetas. So when the Prachetas came to do the meditation or tapasya, they didn't have a spiritual master, and Lord Shiva appeared on his own accord to show them to give them his mercy and blessings. So this shows that the act of getting a guru or getting initiated into this disciplic succession is not just a material trait. It's actually something happening from the divine realm. So only if somebody is like really blessed by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then one gets a bona fide guru. So that message is being very clearly explained here, and it's very subtle in this verse. And so he's when the Prachitas they come to the Western Ocean, Lord Shiva says that he already knows their intention, which means that the Guru is a representative of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, just like how the Supreme Lord is present as the Paramatma in everyone's heart. Since the Guru is also a representative of the Lord, he is able to understand what his disciples need, and he is so they actually are seeking pure devotion to Vishnu. So he's going to give them instruct them on this glorious prayer of Rudra Gita. So Srila Prabhupada takes this opportunity to explain one very important point here, where he says that when one sincerely seeks the service to Krishna, then all the demigods are very happy and they rush to help. So there are multiple instances in the Srimad Bhagavatam where this is explained, and in the Bhagavad Gita also this is explained. And one verse which came to my mind was this beautiful verse from Srimad Bhagavatam, which says, "Yata taror mula nisechanena tripyanti yat skanda bujopashakaha pranapayaro pahara yatendriyanam tadeva sarvarhanam achyuta ijya." So it says, Yata taror mula nishechanena. So when we water a tree, we don't go and water the branches, we don't go and water the twigs, the leaves, and everything. Instead, we just go to the root and water the root. Yata taror mula nishechanena tripyantiyat skanda bhuja upashakaha. Because of that, all the skanda, bhuja, upashaka, all the branches, the trunk, the leaves, all of them, they get nourished. Similarly, prana paihara yatendriyanam. So all the senses, like the eyes, ears, even if you eat through that, everything goes to the stomach. But just by satisfying the stomach, all the other indriyas are becoming satisfied and strengthened. So just like that, tadaiva sarvarhanam achyuta ijya. Because I'm giving this analogy, Srimad Bhagavatam says that just like how all the indriyas are satisfied by the stomach getting the food, and just like how we water the root of the plant, every other part of the plant becomes satisfied and nourished. Just like that, just by serving Achyuta Ijya, just by serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Tadeva Sarvarhanam, because of that, all the demigods and everybody in this planet becomes very satisfied, because the Supreme Personality of Godhead is satisfied. So this is explained in the Shastras as Yasmin Tushte Jagat Tushte, which means if the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Hari, is satisfied, then the entire world is satisfied. So that's the glory which Srila Prabhupada is explaining here, where he says that um, when one sincerely worships the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna, then all the demigods they rush to help. And he says that the chief demigod is Lord Shiva, and he's no exception to that. And we've seen multiple places where this is explained. And the another example which came to my mind was this verse in Srimad Bhagavatam, where it says, "Yasyasti bhaktir bhagavati rakinchana sarve guna samayasite suraha hara vaktasya akuto magadguna manorate nasti dhavato bahihi." It says that if one worships the Supreme Personality of Godhead and performs his occupational duty, yasyasti bhaktir bhagavati rakinchana sarve gunai tatra samahite suraha. Just like whatever good qualities are there in the devatas, those are all manifested in that person who is performing his occupational duty and worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And he says, like, what to talk about somebody who is not interested in the spiritual path. even the most glorious material attributes he might have, they are all worthless. So that's the conclusion of Srimad Bhagavatam. Just by worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they will be able to satisfy all the demigods, and because of that, they will be pleased and they will be able to bless us as well. So that's one key important message from this. So just to set the scene, because we're going to talk about the Rudra Gita in the following verses. So these are like 40 verses, and I briefly mentioned the glory of it. So this Western Ocean, which this I learned from one of the Maharajas. So he said that this Western Ocean, which is mentioned here, is actually the place in South India called Guruvayur. And in Guruvayur, that's the place where Lord Shri Krishna appears as a very small child. And there is the temple pond is called the Rudra Tirtha. And this is the exact place where Lord Shiva appeared and with his Parshadas and gave this blessing of this wonderful Rudra Gita. So even now, if we can go, we can see that Rudra Kula, and then there is it's a very very auspicious place, and it feels very pleasing to go there. And here it's mentioned that Lord Shiva, it's not easy to get audience of Lord Shiva because Lord Shiva is beyond this material world, and he's considered chief demigod, and he's actually present in the Golok Vaikuntha as Sadashiva. But here he comes and gives his mercy to the Prachetas because they are interested in Vishnu Bhakti. And he becomes the guru, and he's giving them this blessing. And this actually happened in the place called Guruvayur in South India. So those are some of the points I can gather on this topic. So thank you so much for giving me an opportunity to purify myself. Hare Krishna.